Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to a new episode of the Mixed Metals Podcast. I am the host, Quan Bynum, aka Hard to Find. Um, kind of skipped like the opening week of the NFL and college for that matter. But I mean I got a lot to address, a lot to talk about. Um, First things first, let's talk about the Thursday night NFL game between the Bills and the Dolphins. Um, the Bills come away with that one pretty convincingly with 31-10 victory. Um, I was reading a stat like since Josh Allen been in the league, he's basically owned the Dolphins. So I mean, it was pretty expected, but what hopefully wasn't expected, but was not surprising was the injury to Tua Tagovailoa. Um, Another concussion. I think this is third documented one. Um, and he left the game with 145 yards passing, one touchdown, and three picks, including a pick six, if I'm not mistaken. I did end up watching that game, but after the injury, it didn't feel right. Tua's gonna have to do a lot of soul searching. He's got a lot of guaranteed money now. So I think he's gonna have to take a real good look at at where he is like physically, mentally, and if he wants to be able to maintain and stabilize that mental and physical stability. So I think he's got to take a good look and see where he is in his career. Um, and if he want to come back, more power to him. I hope that I pray for his safety. Um, because it don't feel right seeing those concussions and that kind of stuff happen. There's been a lot of players wearing the Guardian caps this season, which I think the Guardian caps are new to like in game helmets. And I mean I'm nobody, but to me they don't look bad. I think that they are actually pretty cool. And I I don't see how more protection would hurt. You know what I mean? So if anybody needs to wear that, I think it's definitely Tua. He's just not meant for those to take those type of hits. And it wasn't even like a vicious hit or anything like that. It was a routine hit. He hit the tackler. You know what I mean? So um, it's rough. Hopefully, he's able to get back in to full strength soon. Praying for his recovery. Uh, and I don't I'm tired of seeing Tua get concussed, man. It's not fun to look at. Um, Moving over to MLB briefly, let's check on my Cardinals. They were tied 1-1 last time I saw. As of right now, they won in 11 innings 4-3. So, or maybe that was yesterday. That was yesterday. My apologies. Today they are still tied 1-1, bottom of the fifth. Um, Moving over to college football, Alabama played the early game. They played at noon against Wisconsin in Madison. Their quarterback Van Dyke went out on the first drive, holding his knee. It didn't look good at all, and he was carted off. He came back on crutches, so I mean that don't look good. To see that's not a good sight to see if you are a Wisconsin fan, even if you're not. I hate to see players get injured. And it kind of went downhill for Wisconsin from there. Alabama pulled away with a 42-10 victory, pretty convincing. Um, and they capitalized on the mistakes. And I feel like they made a lot less mistakes than last week, which was a very scary game if you're an Alabama fan like myself. Um, I want to do like a power ranking. So since I have like five schools that I pay attention to, I want to do like a weekly power ranking of them, just for fun. So right now, I would say probably Texas is number one. just they have the best win so far between all five of my teams. If you don't know, my five teams are in no particular order is Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia Tech, and Ohio State. Um, but yeah, I would say Texas so far got the best win of the season of those five teams. Would have been Georgia Tech being the number 10 school in Ireland, but Florida State is a joke at the moment. They lost again today. This is an 0-3 start for them, and it's not looking any better for them. It looked rough for Florida State. Uh, so yeah, I would have to give it to Texas. Then I would say Alabama. I think Alabama has looked the best, the second best at least. Um, as far as like completion, like team completion, like the completeness of the team, if that makes sense. Um, then I would say Ohio State, followed by Oklahoma, and then Georgia Tech. I want to say at the beginning of last Saturday, for the first time in a long time that I've seen, all five of my teams were ranked. So I definitely screenshotted that because it may be a while before we get that again. Um, at the moment, Oregon and Oregon State are tied with 14:53 to go in the second. They're tied at 7. Michigan State is up 14-0 on Prairie View. Texas A&M is up 10-0 in Florida with 18 seconds left in the first. Notre Dame is up 14-0 on Purdue. Second quarter, LSU did come out on top and beat South Carolina 36-33. That's a pretty high scoring game. Um, Seems like they were going back and forth, and I want to say South Carolina had at least a 14-0 lead at some point. Um, so I mean that's pretty interesting that they was able to oh no, it was 17-0. It was 17-0 in the second quarter, and LSU pretty much took over from there. Um, if you South Carolina, you can't lose that game. You can't lose that game at home, being up 17-0. Conference opponent, I understand. A ranked opponent, I kind of understand. But yeah, you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. Got to capitalize on that lead. Got to seize the lead, as they say. Oklahoma is up 7-0 on Tulane. Tulane is pretty good. Maybe not like record wise or anything like that. They only 1-1, but just the eye test, I think Tulane is a really good team. Washington State tied at 10 in the second quarter, 12:37 to go. Minnesota is up 6-0 on Nevada. Uh, West Virginia is up 14 to 10 on Pitt. And I think the only game between ranked opponents that we had today was Missouri and Boston College, which um, Missouri won by a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. So that was nip and tuck. Um, Vanderbilt, that is 2-0, is going up against Georgia State later on this afternoon at 7 o'clock. I might watch that one. It's a big fight tonight as well. UFC Noche, I believe they pronounced it. Let's see, MMA and Canelo fights tonight. So pretty busy sports night. Yeah, the main card is Sugar, Sean O'Malley against I don't know how to say his name, but it's gonna be a really, really good card. Um, I look forward to watching the whole card for that. Um, I'll try to have the Canelo fight on as well. Uh, Tomorrow's games in the NFL are as follows. Um, or today if you watching it, I guess, because I probably uploaded on the 15th. Um, the Saints at the Cowboys. I think Tom Brady is calling that game. Tampa Bay at Detroit at 1 o'clock. Indy at Green Bay. The Jets at Tennessee. San Francisco, who I just found out because San Francisco is my team, as you know. San Francisco, Chris McCaffrey will be out for at least another 4 weeks because he has been placed on IR. I think they were saying that the best outlook is like mid-October. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's able to play this season. Jordan Mason looked great in that first game, um, filling in for him. So, hopefully they can continue that. I just think San Francisco, Shanahan is just a wizard when it comes to offensive football. So he just found a way. He's the ultimate plug and play guy. Um, I mean, because I don't know how many people were truly talking about an Ayuk or a Debo Samuel or in college. I don't remember hearing those names very much, if at all. Um, but he was able to turn them into what they eventually became. You had to pause for a second. I was at the San Francisco game. I think I spoke about everything as far as that. Seattle is at New England tomorrow at 1. It's gonna be a pretty good matchup. I think Seattle's offense against New England's defense is gonna be a really good matchup. Um, Possible that the Patriots could start 2-0. They defend their home field pretty well. Uh, Typically speaking, maybe not in the past couple of years, but I don't know. This team is looking different. It's a new energy there. It's a new way of life in New England. So we'll see where they go with that. The Giants at Washington. That's a divisional game. The Giants suck. They're not good at all. I think Daniel Jones is a bit of a joke as well. And I think Washington might smack the Giants. Now would it be in a divisional game? Um, those games are always pretty close across the league. So don't know for sure, but I see Washington winning that game. The Chargers at the Panthers. The Panthers is another team that's in disarray. Um, I'm pulling for Bryce Young, roll tide, but it's not looking great for him. I mean, the offensive line has improved from what I've heard. I can't really say for sure, but the offensive line has improved, but just still not where they need to be for Bryce Young. He's a smaller quarterback. He needs a clean pocket. Um, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. I guess break off on a tangent for a second. I think that recruiting in general and scouting and all of that, I think those are very difficult jobs. But I think that they are especially difficult when is for a quarterback from like an elite school. So for example, I say this year, like a Carson Beck, like it has to be nearly impossible to be able to tell whether or not he is a good quarterback. I mean, you may see him like change some stuff up at the line here and there, but I mean, for the most part, with that team being such a juggernaut, you just don't truly know, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I mean that I don't get paid the big bucks to do that, but um I imagine that has to be one of the most difficult jobs as far as a scout is concerned. Scouting a quarterback and let me not just say a quarterback, but like also a good quarterback, a talked about quarterback, um, from like an elite school. So I can't imagine. I don't envy those people at all. Hopefully Bryce can get it figured out. Some people are what is it? Late bloomers. Some people are late bloomers. And he could have been a senior in college last year. So, I like to get those kind of players a lot of grace, and especially since he's from Alabama, he get a little more grace. Or since he went to Alabama, he get a little more grace. Cleveland at Jacksonville. Um, the battle of the Clemson quarterbacks. I can't stand either one of them. I think Deshaun Watson looks like a completely different person, and I don't mean that in a good way. I think he looked lost out there. Um, Watching that game last weekend, because I wanted to watch to see to hear Tom Brady call. Um, it was rough to watch, because I also hate the Cowboys. Um, and Deshaun Watson he looked terrible out there. I want to say at one point it was like it was either late second quarter or early third quarter. He had like maybe 60 yards passing on like 14 attempts. It looked bad. He looked bad out there. He was overthrowing, underthrowing. Uh he just he looked lost out there. And the Jaguars, I think one of the most one of the more overrated quarterbacks from recent memory so far. You know what I mean? It is, with new information comes new opinions, but so far I don't see what they see in Trevor. I know he's a tall guy. Um, to me, I think they like right now we can say that the same thing because Ryan Tannehill is a big guy as well, and I mean it's just he's just a tall quarterback. Like I mean you might win with him, but not because of him, in my opinion. Um, so we'll see. Hopefully that game ends in a tie. We got the Raiders at Baltimore. I think Baltimore gonna smoke them. But I do want to see Antonio Pierce do well. The Rams at the Cardinals. That's another game I hope ends in a tie. I hope all the all the NFC West games besides those for San Francisco end in a tie. Can't stand the Rams. Uh, and I do want to see Marvin Harrison get thrown to more. I think there's a lot there. I think there's a lot of potential there, especially with him and Kyler Murray. I think that they could be a really good duo. But as of yesterday or as of last week, it was hard to see because I don't think I think Marvin Harrison had one reception, um, and out of three targets. So I don't know. I think for him to be drafted as high as he was, he's got to be used a lot more. And of course, it's the first game of the season, so they figuring it out. But some interesting stuff there. Pittsburgh at Denver. Possibly a revenge game for Russell Wilson, but most likely Justin Fields will be starting. And I I like what I saw last week out of Justin Fields. He managed the game pretty well. Didn't really put the ball in harm's way as far as throwing it. He did fumble. He choked on a couple of snaps, but other than that, he looked good. He was making good deep field throws. It was one play off a bootleg where he threw it across the field, which is typically a mistake. Like you don't really want your quarterbacks to have to do that, but I mean it was a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Um, I think Justin Fields makes the Pittsburgh offense more dynamic than Russell Wilson will, but I do think Russell Wilson can still probably throw the ball better than Justin Fields. So that's an interesting dynamic that they got going on down there. I don't know if Russ will end up starting when he comes back from his injury or not. Bo Nix, they got the quarterback whisperer down there, Sean Payton, one of the quarterback whisperers. Um, so it's possible that he can do some things that that we didn't see in college from him. Um, very interested to see what happens with that. But it's always tough being in a division with the Chiefs. So speaking of, they got the Bengals at the Chiefs at 4:25. I would have thought that it would have been a primetime game, but I understand the primetime game being Chicago at Houston. And Monday would be the Falcons at Philly. To talk real briefly about the Bengals and Chiefs, I think that where it's not the primetime game, I do think it may end up being the game of the week. Chicago and Houston for other reasons. I mean, where the Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes game is a good rivalry, if you want to call it that. If you want to say that Pat has any kind of rivalry, it got to be the guy that beat him the most. Um, but there could be a budding rivalry between Chicago and Houston, having Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud going against each other for years to come. Um, and interestingly enough, they would have been in the same conference this year if they were still in school. Anyway, Caleb didn't exactly light the scoreboard on fire last week. They won because of the defense, definitely. I don't think he threw a touchdown. He threw for 93 yards total. Uh and it just looks shaky, and he is a rookie, and he's not playing against the second teams anymore, or any of that. Like the impressive throws that he was making in the preseason will probably be limited, very limited moving forward. um so he's got to play big boy football now. I do love the fact that, even though, well, I don't know when they first played each other this season, but the Bears and the Packers, it seems to be an actual rivalry again. Um, because as far as I know, I don't remember Chicago. I think Chicago may be like the worst team in my lifetime to have made a Super Bowl. Like, I mean, like over. So I'm 31. So after the past 31 years, I think that Chicago has probably been the worst of the teams that have made a Super Bowl. Like, I don't know if I can make that make sense, but um, so I've seen the Bears make the Super Bowl once in my lifetime, as far as I know. Um, and I think that cumulatively, they have been the worst franchise, I guess, is a better way of saying that. Um, so and I mean, they loaded up in the offseason. Um, got Roma Dunze, got they had DJ Moore anyway. They got DeAndre Swift. And I mean, they are a really good running team in general, and having DeAndre Swift, that's an upgrade. And then one of the guys from the Chargers, I can't remember which one. Is it Mike Williams? Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, one of them. Anyway, um, so they upgraded a lot offensively, and their defense wasn't that bad last season, towards the end of the season, especially. So, um, it'll be interesting seeing where the Bears go from here. I think they'll do well. I think that there will obviously be growing pains. Everything ain't sweet. Like, it ain't as it. Caleb struggled at USC to win games. So I mean, you gotta imagine that it's gonna be 10 times worse over in the NFL. So we will see what happens with them. Um, Checking on games that will be tonight. Uh, Coastal Carolina is beating Temple 28-20. Um, 2 minutes left in the fourth, but Temple got the ball and they are moving. 21-0 Notre Dame over Purdue. Uh, Georgia Tech 24-0 over VMI. Um, they got that game in hand basically. UAB is up 10-0 over Arkansas at the moment in the first quarter. That's interesting. That is interesting. Arkansas gave Oklahoma State a scare last weekend. They should have won that game. I think it went to double overtime and they ended up losing. I don't understand that. Thank God Notre Dame finally lost. My feeling about Notre Dame is that if they are ranked at all, anywhere on the top 25, they're overrated. Chances are they're overrated. I don't know. We have no other team that is able to live off of what they have done, had done 30, 40 years ago, other than Notre Dame. The school with no conference that anytime, even if they make it to the playoffs, they get smoked. They made it to the championship one time, they got smoked against Alabama in my lifetime anyway. Uh, they used to be a powerhouse, but they are still living off of those glory days. I've never seen anything like it. Um, and I just can't imagine. I don't know. Ain't no telling. Like they're gonna keep them ranked probably over the course of the season, but I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I've no team is more of a misunderstanding for me than Notre Dame. Um, okay, so later games we got Colorado and Colorado State. There's a lot on the line with that one. I think this game will determine the direction of the season for Colorado. Um, if they win it, they may end up being able to get bowl eligible, get 6 wins. Um, it's gonna be tough sledding for them. I don't necessarily see that happening. Uh, a lot of the same problems that they had last season, they have this season. Got Shador running for his life. Um, and very like one dimensional, uh, honestly, because they can only pass the ball. Their run game is virtually non-existent. And it's the same as last year. So hopefully Dion can get some recruits, some good like a actual good solid recruiting class, and also some hits on the in the transfer portal. Um, because if not, I think that's going to be a short marriage between he and Colorado. Um, North Carolina plays NC Central at 6 o'clock. It's coming up in about a little bit over an hour. Um, no other great games. Ole Miss plays Wake Forest. UTSA plays Texas. If I didn't say that. As far as like good games, that's probably it. Georgia plays Kentucky at 7:30. I'll probably tune into that. Uh, so far, Carson Beck has 520 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. It's pretty decent. I want to say Jalen Milroe is at least tied for the lead in touchdowns overall for the season. If we can if we can put up a victory over Georgia, especially, I think I like our chances um, moving forward, and I think that we could end up um, seeing Jalen Milroe in the Heisman conversation. That's probably, I mean, that'll probably be the game to do it. Uh, that game being, I guess, the week after next. Uh, and Georgia's finally playing at Alabama. About time, because I mean, okay, I mean, it's not. So I think that Alabama plays Georgia in week 5. If I'm not mistaken. Yep. Okay. So week 5. And that date is September 28th. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Hopefully Alabama is able to come away with the victory for that. Uh, Video game news. I've been playing college football still. Star Wars Outlaws came out since my last episode. What else came out? Astrobot came out since my last episode. I'm gonna get into those. I barely started Star Wars Outlaws. So far so good. Uh, I mean, the college football got most of my attention. It got me in chokehold, honestly. Um, More layoffs in the games industry, more layoffs at Xbox specifically. I don't understand what's going on. All of this purchasing, all of these other like all of these companies and all of these developers and all of that just to lay so many people off. I think it was over 600 um this most recent time. I think it's disgusting. I think it's sad. Um, and I don't understand it. Maybe they know something that we don't know. I don't know like how much higher the profit needs to be. I do understand that they need to make profit because all of those purchases, they do their bill does come due, but I don't understand the strategy here yet. Maybe it's not for me to understand, but at the same time, you putting people's jobs at risk, you putting people's livelihood at risk. Um, so I would think that you would be buying these companies to, for security to make sure that those kind of things don't need to happen, but is appearing to be the opposite. I think it's very sad. And hopefully it lessons and lessons and lessons as as we move forward. Um, Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. Rest in peace to Club God. Rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. Um, I hate having to come and say so many names. Uh, after saying rest in peace, that does not make me feel great. Um, Tragedy. I mean, uh, Frankie Beverly and James Earl Jones live, long, healthy lives. James Earl Jones was 93, so I mean, I'm sure that he was fulfilled and all of those. And I wish all of them safe travels on their way to their next destination. Um, it's just sad, Rich Homie, I think, was 2 years older than me. Um, and just we are in a time where drugs are just so rampant. Um, and we don't know what's in them. You know what I mean? We somebody could say that is one thing, but it most of the times ends up being another. And I just think that that's so unfortunate. It's taken too many of our of our artists, of our peers, um, and I wish it would stop. Prayers for Rich Homie's family. I believe the funeral was today, and it was a public funeral, so hopefully he was able to get the love and the energy that he deserved. Um, it's unfortunate that we have to keep coming to the microphone to say such things. But yeah, I don't want to end on a somber note. So I will tell you that Doechii at this moment has my rap album of the year. I would say before it was probably Bodie James, um, Summertime Butch, Benny the Butcher. I did love that project. Um, I would have to go back and make sure, but I really, really, really enjoyed Doechii's album. Alligator Bites Never Heal. Uh, I think it was like she was extremely versatile. Uh, it was incredible. It's incredible. I can't stop listening to it. I think it's excellent. Um, and I'm excited to see, where she moves, how she moves further in her career. Uh, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got. Until next time, peace, and I love you all.